So the team is huge, right? The team is huge right now. What you're seeing on Twitter Spaces, we actually have a bigger team. Some of them are just sitting out right now. But with us here today, we have Mr. Gentle 8, who is the founder and the CEO of a retail and lifestyle group. It's a global brand. He has 100 employees all around the world. He has worked with Disney, Star Wars, PRJ, Singapore Airlines, Audi, stuff like that. I'll let him talk a little bit more about his story, his genesis story of Bbrc. But I'm just here to bring up the just kind of do a quick introduction of the team, right? So Nelson, he's the visionary. He pulled all of us together. We are here because we believe in his. Me on board, I am one of the advisors here, one of the consultants here with Bvrc. On our Web3 team, just very, very quickly on our Web3 team, we have Dino X, he's our marketing guy. We have Hautoshi. Hautoshi's been in NFT education not NFT education, sorry, crypto education for a while now. And he have also, done advising for some other NFT project, GameFi and stuff like that. We have P19 Freeman, he's right here. So everybody feel free to drop Freeman a text and ask him for a PXN whitelist, because that's what we are here for.
What are you doing to me, man?
No, I'm kidding. Yeah,
Nice one.
I'm so sorry. He didn't even give us a PXN whitelist, right? But Freeman, myself, Hautoshi, Mr. Gentle 8, Nelson, we have been friends for a long time right now. I mean, we have been friends for a long time. We know each other IRL. We have been kind of like doing this for a while now. And we have with us our US team as well. So we're kind of like the international group. We have offices here in Singapore, in LA. Our community manager is based off Vancouver. And we have our artists from Korea, and I mean, we're kind of like all around the world. So we have our LA team here with us as well. We have Rodolfo, we have Andrew. You can hear a little bit more about them. They are like legendary brand builders. They have been building heritage brand for a long time. We have them operating out of LA, which, in my opinion, is the epicenter of hype. And her main export, LA main export, is fashion, culture, and art. And that is kind of like what the brand of Bvrc and Ivy Boy stands for. So that is a very, very quick introduction. I hope I didn't miss anybody out. I'm going to get Nelson, Mr. Gentle 8, to share a little bit more about his Genesis story. How about that? We good?
Yeah, sure.
Yo,
Can you guys
good
hear me?
morning.
Morning. Hey guys, what's up? Hey, great pleasure to be here, man. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us. Good morning, good night, wherever you guys are. Thank you, MVHQ, for hosting this AMA. It's really great to be here speaking to you guys. A little background of myself. My name is Nelson, also known as Mr. Gentle Ape on the Web3. My life outside of Web3 is that I'm a founder and CEO of a retail and lifestyle group, which I started back in 2009. We had our humble beginnings, starting off with a hole-in-the-wall store with 2 employees. And today, by the grace of God, we've grown to more than a community of 120 staff members in 5 countries. I'm very grateful for that. And today I'm here starting out all over again in Web3. And it's really, really exciting. So how I got into Web3, all right? It all started about 6 months ago. I would blame Taco Cat for that. He is an advisor on Bbrc, you heard previously. But he's also a great friend of mine. A great privilege of knowing him for the past 8 years. After one of our runs, he actually asked me about if I heard about the Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? And, I have not. So he showed me a couple of JPEGs of some apes. I looked at it and I immediately said, take my money. No, that's a lie. Just like most of us, I was very, very skeptical about NFTs at first. But I try to remain open. But I wasn't exactly ready to sell my house to buy a picture of an ape, But it was also when another NFT friend, a really good friend, that asked me to look at getting a Bored Ape. Now it's apparently an NFT whale. I'm not sure if he's here with us today. I'm not going to review who he is, but yeah, he asked me to consider looking at an ape. It could be great for what I was trying to build, but I did not have any, 60 ETH lying around in my wallet. At the time, that was the price of an ape. If you weren't wondering, but I did have 10 Ethereum that I had just converted from flipping 1 Bitcoin that I bought 2 years back. So I kind of asked him, what is the next best thing I should get, right, within 10 Ethereum? So he asked me to check out this project called CloneX. And yeah, so that was my very first NFT, a CloneX X Val that I bought at 3 Ethereum. Um, 2 days later, when it revealed, it turned out to be this weird looking alien clone, with purple hair, white windbreaker. And I was honestly not very impressed at first until I realized that I actually got a rare Murakami flower jacket. So, so I was like, hey,
Beginner's
should I get?
luck.
Yeah. um, yeah, so I was wondering if I should sell it. And I just saw someone sold it at 20 Ethereum. So that night, I just randomly put it up at 35 Ethereum, went to sleep. When I woke up, got an email from OpenSea that, my item sold. So ever since then, I just got down into this rabbit hole. I, like a lot of you guys, got deep into the NFT space, started out grinding and hustling every day in Discord. This was 6 months ago. And I just found it so fascinating, right? This Web3 space that is so new. Um, and I guess the entrepreneur in me running a business for the past decade asked if I could actually bring something into the Web3 space, right? And being in fashion and branding, I thought maybe I could enter space and build something different. So the Bvrc today has evolved since, the Genesis idea that was planted in my head. Um, so I eventually bought my very first bought ape at 69 Ethereum. But I had to kind of sell my beloved Porsche Taken to buy this JPEG. I know it's
Totally
pretty.
worth it, dude. Totally worth it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's not hard math, right? One appreciates, one depreciates. So I'm glad I got my bought ape. So thank you, Techo Cat. Thank you, the other guy who's in this channel. I'm not gonna mention who he is, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. So since then, I've been down this rabbit hole. And when I got my board ape, I knew I wanted to do something with it, right? Kind of use the utility for a bigger purpose and kind of align to what I was trying to achieve. And at time, I saw that the space was getting crowded with a lot of ape derivatives, right? And so I didn't want to create another one. And I started out creating a story around Bored Ape, making this Mr. Gentle Ape, the narrator of this mystery that will unfold through a game, and then there will be twists and turns along the way. But okay, sidetrack. This is an alpha for our next project. I shall not review any further. But today I'm very excited. Yeah, I want to talk about our Genesis project, Ivy Boys. Um, should I continue?
No, please. That probably would have been so very interesting little nugget of alpha there, potentially talking about a future project already. But yeah, so talk to us then at a high level about Ivy Boys. What is it, and how does this all tie back into BBRC? I suppose.
Yeah, I think in BBRC, I kind of we are very aware of the strengths that we have. Being in Web 2, and just having a strong team in Web 3. With TackleCat, with you know um, Freeman, and a lot of the Web 3 team who's very well versed in the team. We try to come on board as being grounded very much in Web 2, right? Rodolfo, Andrew, and myself, we've been business partners for the past 8 years, and now we're friends. And now we are together in this, we've joined forces in this company, and having such fashion heritage in our background, we definitely feel like we have something that we can bring into the Web 3 space to bridge the Web 2 and Web 3 space. And Ivy Boys is just the perfect genesis for that because it's art, it's also fashion, and it's also culture. Aaron Chang coming from you know uh, Korea, and the whole idea of Ivy Boys, it's very American Ivy League kind of idea. So I felt like it was great timing. Aaron Chang was someone I followed on Instagram for a while. I appreciated his really clean artwork, his really clean illustration. And more than that is like his discerning style sense, right? Which is very much reflected in the Ivy Boy collection. So I thought that his artwork would really, stand out, very fresh in the NFT space, which is filled with a lot of animes and pixel ads. All good, but I felt Ivy Boys could kind of be a fresh take in the NFT space, and very relatable artwork, as you can see. So yeah, when I reached out to him, he was starting to get in the NFT space, but he didn't know how to do it. So it was perfect timing. I had a plan, I had a team ready to bring this dream to life, and we've been working with each other. He doesn't speak English, by the way. He's a native Korean, but we managed to communicate somehow every day, every night, through telegrams, through emails. But when we have similar goals in life, when we're very aligned, a lot of things move really quickly, and especially in the NFT space, it's very very important, right? So yeah, maybe can I bring on Andrew to speak about what is the vision for BVRC? Andrew, over to you.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Loud and
Sound
clear.
clear.
Perfect.
Oh, great. Yeah. Thanks for having me. So just to kind of touch on how Ivy Boys really ties back to BBRC, in a way, we want it to be the brand has BBRC Studios. Like at the core, it's a heritage brand. We have kind of a 100-year plan. We're here for the long run. Um, and in a sense, we want to be an incubator for art, fashion, and culture in the Web3 space. And I like to think of us as a collective of visionaries, of artists, of creators on a mission. We're trying to shape how we enter this new form of social engagement. And our goal is to empower this new class of artists and creators, right? To create really intellectual properties that are verifiable across a single platform. And for us, it's really important to build trust, and more importantly, develop a community. And for us, we're trying to see how we fill the gap between Web3 and Web2. Laying down the roadmaps and implementing real world strategies to bring back value back to the creators and the artists, but also the people who are the users and the holders. And as a way, you can kind of see BBRC being a library of sorts. We're housing intellectual properties, kind of like the Netflix of intellectual properties. And in terms of like how we see this segue into, or how Ivy Boys fits into this vision, we see Ivy Boys as one of the many intellectual properties that are part of the BBRC umbrella. How we are going to create value through this Ivy Boy character. Aaron Chang developed this really great character that's so relatable. And we want to tell the story of who that Ivy Boy is. And we see that through mediums like film, graphic novels, gaming, the way we interact in the Web3 space now, and how we deal with storytelling, and how our NFTs kind of affect that method of storytelling, I think has a lot of power, a lot of potential in that. And the Ivy Boy is also like a super well dressed individual, right? That opens the door for us to expand in terms of branding, in terms of fashion, like how we develop a line, real world apparel. That's kind of our expertise. We know how to develop and implement that very quickly and efficiently. And then eventually we want to collaborate with, household brands and developing long lasting, limited edition apparel for our holders, um, for our NFT holders. And, this all ties to us creating the Ivy Boys universe, right? Similar to how there's a Marvel universe, there's a Harry Potter universe. We're creating the Ivy Boys universe that's part of a multiverse for BBRC Studios. And if I want to just end it saying, Web3 is kind of a new form of social engagement, and for us, we're using Ivy Boys as one intellectual property to be at the forefront of shaping the culture, how we as a society interact and engage with one another.
I might just jump in there if I can. Thank you, Andrew. We've got a whole lot of information. I think a lot of the audience, as well as myself, might be suffering from a teensy bit of information overload. So I might try to pull it back a little bit and summarize what I've heard so far. So BBRC is somewhat of an ecosystem, a company that's going to be building intellectual property through collections such as the Ivy Boys. The Ivy Boys being the first, but it sounds like not the last, which is great. Within the Ivy Boys collection, When people mint and they get their Ivy Boy, can you maybe talk to what they can expect in the first 1 to 2 months? So, what is the immediate short-term utility? What are they going to be doing once they get their Ivy Boy or go?
Okay, so your question is, well, for the Ivy boys, when after mint, what is the immediate short term we can expect our holders to get, right? Anyone want to take this?
What's the intent post-launch?
Okay, I get it. So it's a roadmap question. Maybe Taco?
Yo, first you get a dope ass art. You get really cool. You get a really cool PFP. I think the art is vintage inspired. I think it resembles a certain cartoon that we like, that we love. Clean thick lines. I do understand that we have been putting up PFP of the full body, but we will be availing a smaller crop version for PFP. If you look at Mr. Hautoshi PFP right now, we do have that crop version that we will be putting up for download, so people could download that. We are rendering our art right now at 3000 by 3000, which is kind of a little bit of an overkill, but that's how we like to do things, overkill, right? So immediately after that, there are a few things that's kind of lined up in terms of the brand play of Ivy Boys. So the thing is, we do want to build a heritage brand. This is a 100 years plan. But for the short-term goals, right? For the short-term goal, we will be definitely doing some, drop of art prints, some drop of merch. We are working on doing some storytelling. With regards to the IP laws, I think I'll let Mr. Gente talk a little bit more about that later. But we'll be creating this universe together with the people. So they're really actually buying into a heritage brand. They're buying into a brand, so much more than a project per se, right? So it's taking a part in this brand. So yeah, hope that answered the short-term question. It's really fun. I would love to talk more about the storytelling aspect, which we feel like it's a little bit sorely lacking in this NFT space right now. But it's something that we're very passionate about. So involving the community to write the story of the Ivy Boys together and to create content for the Ivy Boys, and allowing the users to have their IPs and do that. Yeah, so that's kind of like where is that right now. We'll be releasing a more detailed version of the roadmap for Ivy Boys as well as for Bvrc as well. I think that's coming up really soon.
That's great, and that is a question we tend to ask projects that have a community element at their core. Right. These boys, they're going to be characters, is what I'm hearing. The IP is going to be owned by the NFT owners. They're going to be able to create their own destiny, similar to what Mr. Gentle was talking about earlier with his ape. Is there an overarching plot, story, world with the Ivy Boys that these characters are going to be part of, or is it very self-determined?
We can't leak that yet, dude. You can't corner us right now and make us leak that. We can't do that right now. But for sure, there is. We are excited about it. I've been told not to talk about it, so at least not for now. But I think it is exciting. It is something that is warm-hearted. I think it'll be quite wholesome. Mr. Gente, how about you leak that, Elf? I don't know. I don't know. Do you have something to say, Nelson?
Yeah, talk to us about
I don't know.
the IP and stuff like that. What?
Am I allowed to? Okay. So just a bit background.
It's your project. You can say anything you want.
So just some background. Bbrc actually has 3 projects lined up each quarter, right? So that's the way we work, right? In this really fast moving space, right? Where we come in is really fast execution, and each of these projects has its own roadmap, has its own utility, and where it all comes in together, it's kind of an exclusive membership club where we launch several artists, and each of them has its own utility, right? But we share kind of the holders' benefit. So Ivy Boys is kind of like the Genesis drop, and it with all Genesis drops, it's probably going to be the most valuable. And yeah, so we do already have a year worth of the way we do. I know we are in Web3, but the way we plan, we are very Web2. We have to plan for the entire year. Just like in our business, we plan 1 month, we plan for every year, we plan right at the start of the month. We know exactly what we're going to do for the end of the year, to the end of the year. But back to just jump straight to the point, with holders benefit, with utility, with community funds, what you can expect is that we are already going to, have several parties that will lead up to NFT New York. We know that to build community online is one thing, but we know that the real life connections is just as important. So we have real life events that is going to build up to NFT New York. You can expect that for holders, but also with of course priority access to all our future NFT projects. Genesis having the most advantage, and yeah, of course, with our next airdrop, right? Yeah, with so did I mention 3, right? Yeah. Okay, so there will be an airdrop that we are launching. The artist. Okay, so artist has this is first. This is alpha for today because just last night I had a conversation with Aaron Chang, right, over Telegram, and he has agreed to give commercial rights to the holders, and I think that means a lot. That means there's just a plethora of ideas. Suddenly, I couldn't sleep last night because so many ideas that we can now do. But yeah, I felt that we want to be in the forefront of this Web3 space and giving commercial rights to the holders. That's awesome. Yeah, so merch is definitely I mean, without being said, that's already in as you guys know, right? We are in fashion. Merch is something that we do. We launch every day. We do. That's our bread and butter. So, yeah. Every project will go. I mean, with the artists, we work with the artists, get inspired by artists, and I don't want to drop too much information, but this is a few of the things you can expect.
Oh, I'm going to pry a little more here, Mr. Gentle Ape, because I have to say, a little Moonbirds told us that somebody in your project team might have some serious connections to some worldwide retail outlets. Now, I know, of course, this was touched on briefly earlier. Is there any alpha you can drop for our listeners here today? What can our Ivy Boys, future Ivy Boys, I suppose, and the Ivy Boys community potentially expect in terms of retail? And is there a play where we potentially see perhaps Bbrc, exposing a non-Web3 audience to NFTs?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. As you know, BBRC is still very new in this space. Over the years, we've made many connections with a lot of brands, but realistically, we need to prove ourselves before we even put ourselves out there. These brands that we work with, we spent many years to build this relationship. There's this trust, and NFT in this Web3 space, it's kind of a rabbit hole, right? There's so much uncertainty, and understandably, these brands have reservations to come into space. We want to make sure that we position ourselves well before we introduce them and ease them into this space. But definitely with the connections that we have, we want to make sure that we set ourselves up right first. So unfortunately, I can't give you much alpha, but yeah, I think we need your help to make this happen.
Well, we can't give maybe Web 2 alpha, but we can give Web 3 alpha. Maybe we are in the midst of doing a MBHQ trade. No.
Oh,
Yo,
the
can you
leaders
say
over in the
that?
space.
oh,
Can you even say
yes,
that?
yes, we can say that.
I like what I'm hearing.
Are we doing that?
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
It's too late
I guess
now.
we have to do it now.
The box is open. You gotta let us know.
Oh,
So
I guess
think
we have
of
to
it
do
as
it now.
like what Mr. Gentle Ape said, right? Think of it like Supreme. Now that maybe the IP rights are given over the collectors, still to TBC, still working out some details. So imagine it's like the Ivy Boy, going into the metaverse, your own very own Ivy Boy collaborations are very much like what we see with Supreme over in the space, touching with these different brands. And overall, we want to build brand awareness, right? With the PFP, definitely, I think we can see it over in Web 2, even like using it as your LinkedIn profile, right? That version of like the Web 2, Web 3 me. I think it's quite hard sometimes for some over the Web 2 side to identify as a Bored Ape, right? But they can see themselves a bit of resemblance with the Ivy Boy PFP. So yeah.
That's great. And just on the topic of, I guess, the attributes and the relatability of the Ivy Boys, can you talk a little bit about what is going to be in the collection? So, what sort of rarities and attributes are going to be meeting customers on launch? Can you drop any alpha there for us?
Okay, great question. So it's a question on rarity in the Ivy Boys collection, right?
That's correct.
And anyone want to take that question?
Yeah, I can do that. Or Nelson, do you want to do that?
No. I don't want to take up the space too much. You go ahead. I want them
All
to
right,
hear from
cool.
you.
Yeah, so for rarity, it's something that we want to navigate very, very carefully because the reality is that we are there is a certain look to the Ivy boys, right? We can't just throw diamond eyes on all of them, right? Or laser eyes on Ivy boys. It just doesn't fit the style, the art style, the thing that we stand for. But definitely there will be a certainty or rarity. The Ivy boys will be wearing suits and you'll be wearing coats and they'll be having pets and you have like dogs, they're walking their dog and they're holding certain things. We do have gold trades, we do have silver trades, we do have rainbow trades, but it's not overdone. I think that's the main thing, right? We do want to keep that iconic vintage inspired style while incorporating some of the elements that we all love in Web3. All of us love a gold trade, right? So we do want to navigate that very, very carefully. Yeah, that's kind of how we will be navigating rarity very, very, very carefully so that not everything looks the same and not everything is rare. So I think just want to be very, very careful about that. Rodolfo, do you want to add a little
Yeah,
bit more
yeah, of
about
course. That being said, I
rarity?
mean, being from LA and living in the United States, being a part of such a culturally diverse country and city, specifically being Mexican descent, I think what was really important for us too is on the diversity front is really being about inclusivity, should I say, in terms of like having representation of women and making maybe that a rare trait, but also just even in skin color as being very representative of a hue of tones around the world, and really allowing for the community to see themselves within the Ivy boy and Ivy girl, and kind of taking on their own stories of what it means for them to be represented.
That's incredible, and that's so good to hear. We absolutely need, I think more diversity in the space, and you can't go wrong. So we love to hear it, Rodolfo. So thank you for sharing. I just want to pull on that string a little bit actually, and sort of link it into community. So we've talked about I think how people are going to see themselves into Ivy Boys, right? And how they're going to I suppose envelop them in this universe. How do you foresee engaging the community in further development of the brand? So I know you mentioned, I think you mentioned sort of storytelling a little. Can you sort of expand on that a little, specifically from a community perspective?
Okay, great question. So it's like, how do we foresee us engaging the community in like storytelling and developing the Ivy Boy brand, right?
Yes.
Anyone want to take this? I think maybe Andrew.
Hey, Andrew, I think you should take this question.
Andrew.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I mean, for us, storytelling is a really important aspect of what it is to be an Ivy boy, and I gotta give a credit to Nelson for putting this team together, and I've never seen such a genius level ability of putting together community in basically under 2 weeks, and the community that we've noticed that we've been paying attention is a community that's like something that takes years to build. It popped up out of nowhere in literally 2 weeks, and the outpour of how they're showing the love for what it means to them to be an Ivy boy or being a part of the Ivy family. They're ingraining in their own identity, and for us, we want to celebrate that. In a way, we want to engage with the community and allow them to really help guide where they want the community to go, where they want um, the future of what it means to be an Ivy boy and how that plays into the Web3 space. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. Thanks, Andrew. I just want to add on to that, if I can. Yeah, we always say that it's a team effort, right? The creator, the company, and most importantly, the community, right? We are creator led, but community driven. So everything, we want to dream together. It's great, but we want to build together as well, and we want to make it together, right? So, when we think about the storyline, the exciting part that I'm really excited about is how interactive our characters can be with the community. In some way, being in the community, hearing hearing from the community in Discord, in our Discord, is already kind of got. We did have like a storyline, we did have a plan, but it is the community kind of like directs, kind of guides us, and also we got like inspired by the community as well. So we're very excited about the interactive element of that, but I think that's a bit too early. This is our second AMA, and we want to keep that and slowly review this. The storyline of Ivy Boy. The great thing about Ivy Long is very relatable. Each character has its own personality. So yeah, stick around and find out.
Thanks. And I just want to touch on community a little bit as well. When you mentioned earlier that this is going to be the first collection under Bbrc, and there will be more under more brands, more IP. How will that play into the community of Bbrc? Is there going to be synergies between those collections? Is it one community that's going to be holding multiple different forms of IPs? Are they starkly different? Can you talk about what the intent is there?
Okay, so the question is Bvrc being like a studio, right? And we have like different projects that we have down the line, whether they can have some sort of synergy, right? Or like
From a
cross
community
IP and things like
perspective specifically. So with the community of Ivy Boys, is that going to be the same community as your next IP? Or are you looking to target different market segments?
Okay, great question.
Yeah, just to answer you quickly, Ivy Boys is part of the Bbrc family. So any projects under Bbrc, they would share certain membership, privileges. Is that what you mean? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, in a way, yeah. It's more. Are you looking to create a number of communities under Bbrc, or are you looking to
Right.
build upon the community you're creating here?
I think the easiest reference here is similar to random character collectives, with mood rollers, slim hoods, and invisible friends. In the same way, it's kind of, we are a collective, right? But the community is shared. We're building a bigger community with targeting different audiences and bringing them together. But each project has its own storyline. It has its own utility. It has its own you can follow a project through. Every project has its own storyline, if I may, right? Yeah. So does that
answers the question perfectly.
Is that clear?
You.
I want to clarify that we really want to put emphasis that every project, every property does have its own identity and individual community, but its resources, its the fact that it's shared across a single platform. So having access to one also gives you access to the other. But at the end of the day, each one still has its own independent community. It's run by its own team. We want to make sure that each one has its own value. So there's not any kind of confusion in terms of how we manage things.
You got it, and thanks a lot for those answers. So far, so pretty hyped. I'm liking what I'm hearing here. I got one for Taco actually. Taco. I had a look at your bio, right? You worked with the team from the other side. Mick and I, we actually did a deep dive from Bvrc HQ way back when. When the other side was sort of in its closed Discord phase, in I would say much a similar place to where Bvrc with the Ivy Boys is today. And there was a significant amount of hype back then as well with the other side. How would you say your experience with the other side has translated into this project in particular? How have you found it working with the Bvrc team?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good question. Dude, I learned so much, man. I have learned so much. Working in the Web3 space for a while now. I learned so much working on the other side. I learned so much even with these new guys right here, with Mr. Gentle 8, with Andrew and Rodolfo. Just talking to them, And I think I'm always in this space of like learning and understanding the space a little bit better. So I think with the other side, we really learn how to build hype. I think one of the things that I am learning right now, because I don't pretend to know that I don't pretend to know everything. But one of the things I'm really really learning right now, with even with this community, even from Andrew Rodolfo and from Nelson, Mr. Gentle Ape, is the ability to build brand. And I think that's something that they are incredible at, and that's something that caused BBRC and Ivy Boys to stand out, from whatever NFT collection is in the market right now, is these guys and their ability to build a heritage brand. So yeah, I think learned so much from the other side, and I'm still learning right now, working with these guys here in BBRC. Yeah.
You got it. Thank you for sharing. And sorry, Mick, I feel like you were about to say something. Over to you, my friend.
I was just going to follow up after that and sort of let the audience know that we are going to open up for questions soon. So if you do have anything you want to ask of the BBRC, the Ivy Boys team, please put your hand up, and Jinzo will start to bring you guys up. Before we do that, I wanted to move on to the mint itself. And I know this is the first AMA. We're very early, so I'm assuming there's not much that can be shared at the moment, but I will ask anyway. Is there a tentative timeline for mint? Can you confirm any of the mechanics there? Is it on ETH? Is there a price? What is available?
Okay, good question. So mint-wise, I think we are looking at 7,777. With regards to timing-wise, we are still observing the market, but we are looking actually maybe to launch about end April to early May. Strategy-wise, I think we are still forming up with Mr. Gentle Ape and Taco about what we want to do, but with our partners, community, and all. Oh, that links to something that we might want to release for this Friday, right, guys? Taco or Gentle,
This
you want
Friday,
to talk about
Alpha,
this Friday?
this
boys!
Friday.
Alpha League.
Heard
Alright.
here first.
You want to
go.
go into details of what's happening on this Friday, or you just want to tell them Friday and let them figure it out?
Give us the
Friday
detail.
come.
Give us that juicy detail.
Mr. Gente, I'll leave it to you. I don't want to like
No, you go
step on
ahead.
the
You go
toes
ahead.
right here.
Yeah.
I know you are
But before
very
we talk
excited
about
to share that.
this Friday, maybe Taco, you want to talk about maybe like our strategy for the sale?
Yo, I just want to talk about this Friday, dude. That's all I want to talk about.
Do it.
All right. Let's talk about this Friday, right? So what's gonna happen this Friday is that I think we mentioned this earlier. Nelson and Andrew and Rodolfo, they're amazing at building brand. They have been doing this for a long time. Nelson is a big fashion guy. So one of the things that we're gonna do is that we'll be dropping some merch this Friday, right? We're gonna be selling some merch this Friday, and this merch, oh damn, I tell you, guys, I don't really have a lot of clothes, right? I could give you a tour of my wardrobe and you would see that I have 8 black t-shirts. Right, I have 8 black t-shirts, and all of them are made from Nelson. Nelson made all 8 black t-shirts, and I have one black t-shirt that says "Dev do something," and that's the only t-shirt that is not made by Mr. Gentle, but it's made by MBHQ. So I wear that when I meet my developers, because anyway, I'll always remind them they have to do something to fix something. So no, the point is this, right? So Nelson makes like the best t-shirt in the world. Right. I hope I'm not overselling it, but it's 100% organic USP cotton. It is grown here in California. It's the best cotton in the world. So we will be selling some of that merchandise at a freaking steal. Right. I think we have not fully discussed and decided on the price yet, but whatever the price is, it will be a steal, because we really want to get the word out there about Ivy Boys and BBRC. So the merch sale, it's also a raffle ticket. It will not be crazy expensive. Just straight up, I'm just gonna say this right now. Sometimes people sell merch and it's just way too expensive for the quality that you're getting. It's just way too expensive. So we're not gonna do that. You're gonna get what you pay for. You're gonna get your dollars worth. So it's gonna be pretty exciting. So look out for Friday. The sale will open up for 7 days. Limited supply, of course. Once the supply is out, it's out. It might be gone in the first, I don't know, few days. And yeah. So that's what's gonna happen with the merch sale. It will be also a raffle ticket for the allow list. We are doing a full allow list, right? So Most of the allow lists will be given out to our partners, our community through the merch sale, as well as our public raffle. That is pretty standard at this point. So we do want to keep it a little bit tighter, a little bit closer. Try to remove and avoid as many bots as possible. Although I know that it's not fully possible to do that, we'll try our best. So I think that's kind of like the sales strategy for now. Things might shift and might change in the days to come, but we are looking to mint a few weeks from now. Not too far away. That's kind of like where we are right now. I hope that's not too much. Mr. Hautoshi, you can't put me on the spot and make me like leak half-ass information.
Yeah, I just
Well,
want to
Mr. Gentle Ape did leak
Sorry,
some
can I just add
product
something?
sneaks. Yeah.
I just want to give credit to Rodolfo and Andrew, for quickly. They are the one that designed, of course, with Aaron Cheng's artwork, but they designed and put together the merchandise. And keep in mind, they have, a decade year of building a brand, and in LA, and yeah, I am always amazed by their quality of work, and I would say this is kind of the main difference. When we drop a merch, it wouldn't be your stiff, heavy cotton kind of merch. It would be a bit of, what we're not willing to sacrifice, right? So, well, with organic, so the merch is going to be made of organic, American Pima cotton, right? Which is apparently the best cotton in the world.
We did spend a year. We did spend a year developing the fabric itself, so that just lets you know the quality is going to be there.
For us, we got Freeman to hand spun the thread. So Freeman is hand spinning. I'm kidding.
And by the way, our friends say it's the most comfortable, clothes they've ever worn. So look forward to that.
We love it. We love to hear it. So just before we go to the audience here for questions, can you let us know? So you've actually dropped a fair bit of alpha today. So I love this. I feel like we need to do a couple more AMAs with you guys, and I feel like we're gonna get all that info. So
too much alpha.
Well, it's only because this is MVHQ, right? You guys got
boy.
Big love.
Only for the OGs.
You guys were my first alpha group, man.
Vigilant Maker,
myself and
professional
Dino, we were in.
fisherman.
Yeah.
We love to hear it. No. So I do have a question for the team. So likely, you're targeting 100% allow list model. The Discord's locked at the moment. So for our listeners out here today, and there's a lot of them, and they're hyped, how can they, continue to find out more information? Where are you going to continue releasing, I suppose, ways for people to get on the allow list? Is it just on your Twitter at Bbrc official?
I think one of the best ways to buy an MVHQ token, right? So buy an MVHQ token, join the raffle in the MVHQ. You have a pretty high chance of getting a whitelist. So I highly recommend just picking one up. I think the floor now is 4. Yeah, it's cheap considered what you're getting. VC is on 24 hours a day.
Night crew.
Night crew.
Night crew.
So no, but seriously, we will be opening up our Discord. The purpose of the closed Discord for the first few weeks is really just to build that anticipation, that hype. We have used it for the purpose, so we do want to open it up broadly and openly to the rest of the world to come in. We have no issues with people coming into the Discord as well, to find out a little bit more about the community, a bit more about the roadmap, see some sneak peeks. Definitely we'll be opening it up wide open. So I think the closed Discord meta is something that is shifting and changing, and it's something that might not be super useful in the future. So I think we're still kind of in that phase where we're figuring it out. Letting the people in, and So, but in the meantime, just follow us on Twitter. I think we can anticipate the Discord to open within the 1 or 2 weeks from now.
Adding on to what Taco said, I think aside from hype, what we want to do, as you know, we are here to build a brand, right? And branding takes time, culture building takes time. Even I think the Bored Ape is only maybe about a year old, right? Coming to a year old. So we are closing the Discord on so to actually not like to, I think maybe to actually get a feel of like what we want to build over the long term. So, but we do have plans to actually open up a Discord in the days to come, very, very soon. So culture building does take time. So I think opening up the floodgates like that, we also do not want to create such a mess and let a community feel a bit like, hey, what's going on? So yeah, do give us some time. I think within the next few days, we will slowly start opening up the floodgates.
Yeah, let me
You
tell you
got
what,
it.
these guys are like gatekeepers. Like I got scolded for giving too many whitelists. But very okay. I only gave like one or two whitelists, but yeah, they are really serious gatekeepers. I am a bit too soft-hearted. I get DMs all the time, and they are like, we need to build the community. We need to build a organic community, and I like the way that it work. So that we know that as much as possible, the community is genuine, it's authentic. We can't.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, there's gonna be like flippers and all that, but yeah, it's a great foundation, I would say.
Yeah. So in our Discord, actually, there's no like grind. I think what we actually emphasize is like don't beg for whitelists, things like that. Just hang around, chill, vibe around, and we'll notice you. So we've been handpicking quite a lot of people through the art, games, and all sorts of things. If we notice you, yeah, we have a lot of people. So just give us some time, man.
You guys, I feel like you guys can take all the time you need because whatever it is you've got going on, there's more than enough people waiting. And Mr. Gentle Ape, I just want to say rip your DMs as well. After that line about being soft-hearted. Alrighty, look, it's time for some audience questions here. We've probably got a couple of minutes if the team here from Bvrc can hang out with us for a couple of audience questions. We've got Juddy Bands, first person up here. Juddy, we have got you on stage and can hear you. So what's your question for the team?
Hey, everybody. Just before I ask my question, just want to thank you guys for having me up on stage. Big shout out to the MVHQ team. Always doing an amazing job hosting these informative AMAs for us all. And shout out to both of our co-hosts here, doing a great job moderating, asking the right questions, and getting everybody involved. And last, thank you to the Ivy Boys Bbrc team for even being here with us. So my question comes from basically, so I understand that this project is a fashion art project, and the Ivy Boys concept kind of resembles this American style. But when you look at the art, every Ivy Boy seems like they're in like a walking motion, as if they have somewhere to be, kind of somewhere to do, or something to do. So I just wanted to see if you can explain kind of like the reasoning behind this walking motion in the art, and how that kind of correlates to the story you guys are telling. Because obviously you guys could have, and I'm a big fan of it, but I'm saying obviously you guys could have took with fashion a more kind of posed kind of art style where when you think of fashion you think of more posing, and not necessarily walking. So just wanted to get a little bit more insight on kind of like that walking motion, that you guys added to your art style.
Okay, so your question is, regards to us being a fashion art project, why the IB boys seem to be like in a walking motion, right?
Yeah.
Anyone from the floor want to take this? Because I think our artist is actually not here, but we will probably have him in another AMA because he's Korean speaking, like what Nelson, Mr. Gentle Ape said, right? So he has a lot to say, but we are a bit lost in translation in that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, we could speculate, right, Mr. Gentle Ape? We could say that this is a catwalk.
Yeah.
Do
We
the
don't wanna-
catwalk.
We don't want to.
Yeah.
We don't want to tell
Okay,
you the. We don't want to
that's
misguide
fair.
you.
That's totally fair. I guess just because he's not here, you don't want to speak on that without him being here.
Yeah,
That's right.
exactly.
Like
Yeah.
a follow-up
Exactly.
question that might somebody here might be able to ask if that's okay, or answer if that's okay. Cool. So kind of like my follow-up question would just be, I've been blessed enough to be in the server, and I know that you guys are doing the Discord server being closed on Sundays. So I just wanted to see if the team can speak towards the emphasis on mental health awareness that you guys are putting here. I'm a big mental health advocate, especially in this space when it could be super easy to kind of not prioritize your mental health. So just wanted to see if anybody from the team could for the audience talk about the importance of mental health when it comes to this project and your guys' personal beliefs.
Okay, great question. So I'll answer a bit first before I pass it over to Rodolfo. So mental health, I think, in this space, if you've been long enough in this space, like since last year, you'll know that this core is very demanding, right? The demand is real for whitelist grinders, for the constant need to get alpha, constant FOMO, the constant like regret. And I think like, long term, if we want to build like something sustainably, it's not really going to work out because I think the human mind can only take so much in, right? As well as like our bodies. And it's a lot of like stress we actually hold in for quite some time. I think there's some medical research. If you hold on to stress for more than like 10 minutes, right, something actually happens to your body, right? So what we actually wanted to do with Sundays with Ivy is actually to allow like our community to have an intentional break, to actually spend time with their family, go touch some grass, do the things that they love really, because I think at the end of the day, BBRC, the Ivy Boys, what we want to do is to actually kind of like resemble like Web 2, Web 3 life, right? A lot of it is still very interweave. Understand like the whole metaverse, meta, and the whole talk about it is like, moving completely to the cyberspace, right? But I still feel like interaction, physical communities, time with our family and friends are really, really important, right? And yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Maybe I'll pass it on to Rodolfo.
Yeah, sorry about that. I think that's a very important question. I think we know too well as entrepreneurs, myself, Andrew, and a lot of people on our team is that we have a constant. We work 7 days a week sometimes, and we truly understand the importance of like taking a break. It can be a simple gesture, like even taking a shower. If we want to use that analogy, it's like some of our best ideas come when that happens, when we can take a break, take a step away. And so we thought that that was a very important thing for our community to do. It's like fresh eyes, fresh minds, allows for them to build better, allows for them to interact and take on kind of some of the built and earned knowledge that they were able to do outside of that Discord space. So I thought that was very important, and we wanted to make an emphasis on that, and that's why you see that through our community.
Yeah, 100% for sure. Yeah, what we want is sustainability. We are still maybe 1-2 years, there's a huge blow up, huge entrance to space, but we care for the people, we care for the community, and that's why we're doing this.
Very nice, very nice. Alrighty. In the interest of time here, Juddy, thank you for your question. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys for having me up here. Shout out to my friend Bruce Wayne in the stands, and shout out to MVHQ. Again, take care. Bye-bye.
Big love to Juddy. And next up, we've got Kire. Kire, we've got you up here on stage. So what's your question for the team?
Hey, guys. Can you all hear me?
Yes,
we got you.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity to speak. Big congratulations to the Ivy Boys team on this growing success, right? And a big shout out to the Ivy Club members who are listening. My question for you guys is, I know you guys came from business backgrounds, with real world experience in fashion and retail, and also in consultancy. Can you walk us through like the difference in like your whole experience with Web 2 and Web 3 in terms of like the structures, the models that you guys are able to transcribe into Ivy Boys, and also like what's different about the NFT business that you guys have to adapt and change? I also have another part question, but you guys can answer first, then maybe I'll ask.
Okay, yeah, sure. So your question is, some of us came from business background, fashion, retail, and consultancy, right? The difference in our whole experience with Web 2 and Web 3. Am I right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, great question. Maybe Taco can take this.
All right, Kire, you sound like you actually own one of Nelson's clothing line, one of his stuff, right? That's what I think. What is that right? Are you a patron?
I
not
want
yet,
to check
dude.
it out. Maybe you should show it, man.
Yeah, dude. I'll PM you. I'll PM you. You should totally get some of that. Anyway, so the thing is this: the team is made out of two parts, right? So there is the Web 2 team and there's a Web 3 team. We see ourselves as one team, really, but in terms of function, we have two different functions, right? We have the Web 2 people who are amazing at building brands, building fashion, doing retail and consultancy. That is who they are, and that's what they've been doing for decades, right? That's something they have been doing for a really, really long time. But on the Web 3 end, once again, we are one team. we just have two different functions, right? Mr. Hautoshi, he's been doing crypto education for a long time, and Freeman P19, if you even know like who he is, I learned so much from Freeman. I think he's amazing at building relationship, community, and doing collaboration here in this space. So if you wanna, I'm not gonna say it again because he will scream at me. But if you want a PXN whitelist, just go ahead and ask him for one.
Hey yo!
No, it's okay. No.
I
No, the
want
thing
one.
is,
Freeman.
yeah. All right, guys. Today is about Bbrc, man. Come on. So anyway, and for myself, I've been in NFT a long time. We did GameFi, we did consultancy for other NFT projects. That's kind of like who we are. Like three of us, as well as the rest of the team, we are just like we have been here for a long time. In Web3, in NFT, been vibing with the MVHQ community for a while now. Know Jacob and Mitch for a while now. So I think that's kind of like the value that we add. So we work together in synergy, both departments in one team. So Nelson, you want to add a little bit to that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the Web3 team is amazing, right? Like the creativity in this space. We are still learning, as I feel a bit of a dinosaur, but we're still learning, trying to keep up. The pace of the Web3 is really accelerated, but also it's amazing. It's what we've seen is amazing, right? The communities that has been built in such a short time. But I think what we bring to the table, coming from running businesses for decades, is that we kind of try to find the balance between Web3 and Web2, right? Web3 with Web3 expertise, with our Web3 team, we trust them. We know we trust them that they know, with knowing what to do. But where we come is really we want to ground it in our experience in building and managing brands in real life. Because what we want to do is we want to be here for the long run. We want to be sustainable, right? And I mean, other than myself, one of the other I haven't talked about my CFO. My CFO comes from 17 years of being, chief operating officer of a public listed retailer that have managed brands like Uniqlo, Adidas, Topshop. So we do have that grounding in Web2, that we feel that it's really important to make the Web3 space sustainable. And the main difference I would say is the speed. We are trying to execute fast, but we feel like it's a great marriage. And I think that's kind of the main difference, and the value that we can bring onto the table.
All right. Thank you very much to the team for answering that question there, and thank you, Kire, for that.
Hey, thank you so much, man.
very
Is
excellent
it okay
questions.
if I ask just a quick question? It's a pretty important question. It's with regards to taxes. So I'm aware that a big majority of the team is actually from Singapore. So this is also a concern for myself, especially since you guys are project creators. With respect to what our Minister Lawrence Wong spoke about, the whole income tax with respect to NFTs. Can you guys just roughly touch on like how this will affect the project down the line? I know that a big part of you guys will not be taking profit from the project, but can you guys just talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, I think thanks for the question. It's a great question. It's something new. In this space, even our government is trying to keep up, right? But we are working closely with the big four auditing firms, KPMG, right? We have hired someone, to consult in them to make sure that we are, in line with the government regulations. From what we know, capital gains are not taxable, but revenues, it is taxable, and we are fully prepared to comply with government regulations. That's where we stand, because we want to build a sustainable brand. So we're not going to do anything shady. And yeah, we have built in. We have already KPMG guy, from and big four auditing firm to come in to advise us on that. So I don't have clear answers at the moment, but yeah, we are here for the long run. We operate like a company. That's how we roll. And yeah, we want to be. I think we want to make sure that we are aligned in the government regulations. That's clear. Yeah. that's where we stand. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you so much for the answer. Thank you.
Very, very cool. And thank you again, Kire. And so moving on to the next audience member here with a question. Luna, you've had your hand up for a minute now. We can hear you here. So if you unmute yourself, go for your question for the team.
Hello guys, thank you so much for bringing me up. Like I didn't have chance to talk in the first AMA. So my question is I see that you're doing a lot of collaboration with other projects. Is that a part of your plan? And is there any requirements to pick those projects to do collaboration?
Thank you. Yeah. So your question is about partnerships. I think we have a lot of great partnerships. Along with Metaverse HQ and VHQ, and maybe Freeman, would you like to take this?
Sorry, I was kind of laggy. Could you repeat the question for me?
Okay, she's
Yeah, sure. I'm here. It said you have lot of collaboration. You did a lot of collaboration. Is there any requirements to pick those those projects?
Cool. Yeah. So I think as we blew up, we had many projects come to us, but our requirements are definitely a little stringent from I think things like the team, right? In the Web3 and Web2 space, one thing that's shared is that we bet on teams, right? And we look at teams that we work with when they approach us, right? Apart from the team, we look at the audience that they have, the loyalty that they have. We don't want to with the current market status where things are going up and down all the time, we don't want our winners as much as possible seeing how they have held other projects kind of give us a gauge of the kind of appetite that they have, and we want these holders to be rewarded, right? And Mr. Gentle 8 himself is all about giving value back to the people, and we want these holders to be the right holders to be recipients of these values. So we bet on teams, we bet on the audience that these teams have, and obviously we do look out for projects that have great art as well, that that kind of tie in with what we're doing. As you have seen our last collaboration with Mind Balawan, we did a little collab art, right? And that's what we're about. We also want to give projects a canvas, right, to express their creativity, their style on an Ivy Boy. And so I think it's these main three pillars that kind of govern the partnerships. And of course, we have minor talks and within the teams, but those are, I would say, they vary from project to project, but every single project that we work with has to have these three pillars. So and if we are talking about groups, for example, like MVHQ, we don't just pick random groups, right? I believe Zoo Club recently posted, and Zooverse as well, got Jira. Like these are groups that I am personally in, or the team is personally in, and we have relationship with them. We know what these groups are like. We know what the people and the team are about, and it's all good vibes, right? And these are the kind of groups that we want to work with, and that's why when we had a chance to work with MVHQ, it was really easy for us to say a big yes, right? Because it's good vibes all around. We know the people, we know the team, and these are the kind of groups that we're working with in relation to groups. And yeah, I hope that answers your question clearly.
Yeah, thank you. That answered my question. One more thing, please, out of the topic. I just want to say, I really love Iron and Nestle, fashion style in Instagram. You guys are so elegant. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Keep an eye on me, please.
All right, thank you, Luna. Now, next up, and not too much time left here, so I think we've got two final questions here from the audience. First up, we have got Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne, if you're up here on the stage, we can hear you. What's your question for the team?
Awesome. You guys can hear me, right?
Gotcha.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you guys for having me on stage. I mean, how's everyone doing? I'm loving the vibes. I can see there's chemistry between the whole team. I'm loving it. I honestly haven't been so excited for an AMA in a long time. So, kudos to you guys. The vibes are unreal. I just had, I like to ask questions when I like to question the team themselves. So this is for the Ivy Boys team. So when you were raised as kids, what was your fashion like? And throughout the years, how did you dress yourself and I guess, present yourself?
Can I start with that?
Sure.
For me, I grew up in the inner city, so mostly around like the hip hop culture, and so I dressed very hip hop. And then when I went to university at USC here in Los Angeles, I kind of started to really develop a more prep style, which I then but I always mixed it with urban wear, sneakers, was one of my favorite things. I was a sneakerhead, owned hundreds of pairs of sneakers, still love them. But later I transitioned into more of a GQ style, so suiting and accessories. So my style has kind of developed, but it's always had kind of like a deep rooted interest in like the hip hop culture and pop culture. And so even though it's suiting, I always want to do something that's super fun, interesting, eclectic, and then also is encompassing of different cultural aspects of my heritage.
Nice. Oh, Andrew.
I grew up poor. Grew up with hand-me-downs, with clothes from the thrift store, and I never really took clothing for granted. And Rodolfo and I were roommates in college, actually, and he's one of the first people I really noticed his fashion, his sense of style, and it really inspired how I wanted to present myself and how I wanted to develop my own style. And together we sat down and subscribed to GQ, became best friends, and that's how we kind of long story short, like we started our own fashion brand and developed our line of clothing around suiting, around just well made, well designed clothing in the greatest sphere of things.
Well, nice. For myself, I think I didn't start dressing up until maybe I got some inspiration from my own sister. And then I think I started wearing like the usual graphic tees, jeans, and all before with social media, it's easier to get more inspiration, right? So I fell into like the rabbit hole of like menswear also maybe about like a decade back. And I started crazy learning from forums, about suits, the kind of like styling, what goes well with what. So it was kind of like an interesting journey. I think style is very subjective, right? It's an extension of your personality. So I love classic, classic wear. I used to be a lot more colorful and like outgoing in my menswear, but I think I toned down over the years. Maybe I need more inspiration from Rodolfo and gang. But yeah, mine is also a mix of like menswear and also a bit more of street. Supreme, very inspired by the Japanese streetwear style of things, and also getting a lot of inspiration from the style channel over our Discord. Yeah, so that's a bit on maybe my fashion sense or dress sense. How about you, Mr. Gentlewaite?
When I grew up, I feel like very DJN style, like shorties, Thrasher, Transworld skateboarding. I was very much in the skateboarding culture. So, with Alien Workshop, it's a huge 360 change from 180 change for me. I got kicked out of my house because of the way I dressed. My dad would chase me out of the house because he really hates the way I dressed. But yeah, I mean, um, because of the business, I embraced it, and I really love this journey into menswear. Right, from where I came from to now, I learned to appreciate both. Right, each of them have its own culture, its own history, and I really respect that. So yeah, I don't want to spend too much talking. I have a lot to say, but let's move on to the next question.
You got it. And next
Yeah,
up,
we can do an AMA for another day, man, on that.
We should do a fashion AMA straight up. I'll tell you my black t-shirt selection.
Of the finest cotton, no doubt. Next up, we've got Justin, who's already up here on the stage. Justin, we see your hand up, my man. Go for it.
All right, guys. Do you hear me, guys?
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
All right. I wanted to ask about the fashion. Like, I'm from Korea, and then like these days, like the people's interests about the fashion is really actually growing, and then the biggest like fashion company in Korea was actually once was like the community, like whether people like gather around and talk about their fashions and share their fashions, like get some advice. Then now they became the biggest fashion company. So like I want to actually ask like BBRC team whether they have like plan for making like the kind of application that the community can like gather and share their like the opinions, because I was actually really shocked about the fashions like they offer like through like Twitters, like sneak peeks and those kind of things. So like I think it's a really good idea. Like they make those kind of application, like the people from all over the world for really interested in the fashion can share their like fashion and give some advice to each other. And then also like it can also connects to the like to produce the merch, like the products related to Ivy Boys fashion. And then I strongly believe that can connect Web3 and then offline community very well. Like so that was my question.
Great question, Justin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Shout out to my Korean friends. I
Yeah.
think Rodolfo, you can take this question.
Oh yeah, of course. Hey, thanks for the question, Justin. Really great question. I think that's something that we're really discovering that our community on Discord is really like vocal about in terms of their fashion sensibility and having some input in kind of the projects that we develop. And that's certainly something that's going to take a forefront for the projects, whether that be questioning the colorways that you might want for us to produce in a certain particular clothing article or project or whatever the case may be. That's something that's super important for us, not only in fashion but also in other aspects. We're seeing the community really taking a liking to our NFTs and applying that to like things like home goods and all kinds of different things. So eventually, this will become a universe that people can kind of utilize in their home and all aspects of life. But certainly, community is at the forefront of what we want to do.
All right, all right. Thanks. That's for the answer.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for the question.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And that does unfortunately bring us to the end of the AMA today. So I'd like to thank the wonderful team at BBRC. It's been one hell of a ride, a lot of laughs. And I agree with what one of the audience members was saying earlier. You know, we can see the synergy between the team and the relationship there is strong. So really great. And yeah, thank you guys for attending. And also thanks for the audience. You know, it's a cast of thousands. I hope we got enough alpha out of the team today to keep everyone happy. And, you know, hopefully you join us on the next one. So from MVHQ, much love to everybody. And we'll close the AMA now.
Take
Thanks,
care,
Mix.
everyone.
Thanks, Vijay.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
everyone.
everyone.